Imagine strolling hand in hand to your preferred remote beach with your sweetheart, giggling at sweet words and sneaking looks at one another. Simply dropping down on one knee and proposing to your girlfriend doesn't appear to cut it in today's society. Declarations of love are becoming more dramatic and majestic, like everything else in today's world. From lengthy videos on YouTube offers to flash crowds, all to find the most creative manner to pop the question. And that is a standard proposition. Of course, any girl with elegance knows she doesn't need to expect special treatment. However, the reality is, we all like being treated like queens in the end. Find out which marriage proposals were among the most extravagant and costly in history. Eva Longoria and Jose Antonio Baston. When her TV executive and entrepreneur lover proposed to her in Dubai, the actress and director experienced the surprise of her life. The two made the customary trek to the Dubai desert while on vacation. But this was no ordinary journey. He planned an Aladdin-like romantic ambience with Persian rugs and embroidered sofas in the center of the desert's sandy beaches before popping the question with a diamond ring. Ava could not speak. Katy Perry and Orlando Bloom. Like any other couple, the musician and her Hollywood baby daddy went out to supper, followed by an art exhibit. However, Bloom decided to hire a helicopter unlike any other couple. Bloom smashed the champagne bottle he planned to enjoy after struggling to remove the ring from his pocket, which did not go as planned. Perry continued to answer in the affirmative, and the remainder of their helicopter flight went well. Perry's family and friends were gathered on a rooftop to celebrate when Bloom ordered the aircraft to land there. Proposing at gravity zero. One of the wildest and most costly marriage proposals ever. Graciela Asturias, a 27-year-old Manhattan architect, received a special birthday gift from Alex, her fiancé. He flew her in a specially constructed Boeing 727 that plunges and rises at 24,000 and 35,000 feet, giving guests the sensation of being in near zero gravity for 4 to 5 minutes at a time. Alex proposed when they began to float inside the cabin. However, it's amusing that he was concerned that the diamond might drift away in microgravity and complicate things even more. Fortunately, everything went smoothly, and Graciela agreed. Space Travel of Virginia organized the 90-minute excursion, which costs $3,500 per participant. It allowed Graciela to witness an incredible proposal 1,000 feet in the air as floating in an airplane cabin, creating an art exhibition to pop the question. Industrial designer George wanted to combine a proposition with an artwork. He created the sculpture using a 3D application on his computer, then used a laser cutter to cut foam core into the many parts that would make up the phrase, "Will you marry me?" The artwork's title, My Early Muir Owl, is an acronym of the question, "Will you marry me?" The artist was then played for the evening by an actress whom he introduced as Serge Gandaura. An anagram of George and Sarah is Serge Gandaura. George got down on one knee next to her as she looked at the artwork, and as the letters formed in front of her eyes, she responded with a definite yes and a ring on her hand. Kristen and Jason. Kristen planned to travel to Paris someday and had taken French studies in college. I would frequently take her to French places when we were dating so we could discuss, daydream, and plan our next dream trip to the most charming city in the world. Shortly after we met, Kristen and I believed we would ultimately be married. In many ways, it was the first time they met. Kristen probably thought I would pop the question to her while we were on our ideal holiday in Paris, but I couldn't wait that long. After 2 years of dating, I decided to propose to Kristen on Valentine's Day the following year. I spent months organizing what I thought would be the perfect proposal. I saved up and got her the most exquisite diamond engagement ring with a vintage design. I looked up private chefs and discovered one who had studied cooking in France. Together we planned the most elaborate 3-course French supper I would have him prepare for us to enjoy on Valentine's Day in our apartment. It was challenging to conceal everything from Kristen, but I was able to pull it off, and the passion of my life was utterly taken aback when she came home from work to see our apartment decorated with candles, roses, and a chef. I had been quietly studying French for about a year when after dessert, I got down on one knee and proposed to Kristen in the language that I had been learning. When you started learning French, she screamed, eagerly encircling me in her arms while saying, "Oui, yes, I will wed you." Our wedding is scheduled for May next year, and our honeymoon will be spent in Paris. Andrea and Matthew. Matthew and I were together just over 5 years. He treated me to supper on Valentine's Day last year. Although it wasn't particularly remarkable for Valentine's Day dates, the restaurant was cozy because it was one of our usual go-to locations for date nights. We had an excellent supper and the most suitable time together. I didn't anticipate such a proposal that evening. But when the waiter delivered dessert to our seat, my dish was embellished with those traditional Valentine's Day conversation hearts. When I started to read the messages on the sweets aloud, "I love you," "real love," "marry me," "say yes," and "soulmates," I grinned. I had assumed that the candies were merely a part of the restaurant's strategy for their Valentine's Day menu board. My boyfriend proposed to me while I was reading by getting down on one knee, giving me a stunning diamond engagement ring, and asking, "Will you marry me?" I was in awe of it. I sprung up, kissed him, and said yes, with immense delight and emotions in my eyes. "Of course I'll get married to you." My parents had traveled to the other side of the globe to be present for our commitment, and the entire restaurant was applauding and clapping as I looked around and noticed that they'd all started to flood into the room to rejoice with us. Just imagine this kind of proposal. 20,000-foot proposal right before a skydive. Proposing from great heights appears to be on the rise. Mateo Martinez believes that popping the question to your girlfriend while jumping out of an aircraft is the best method to raise your heart rate. Just as he and his partner were ready to skydive, he proposed at 20,000 feet. Gisele Bündchen and Tom Brady. Even though this isn't your typical romantic proposal, the American football player went to great pains to ask the supermodel for her hand in marriage. Gisele admitted that Tom made up the tale that her flat had flooded, which is why she hurried home to assess the harm and try to obtain help fixing it. Except that candles and rose petals were all around the place. He then knelt on his hurt knee and confessed his love for her. It turns out that Gisele was more worried about his health than her own, so she instructed him to get up and stop hurting his knee before she said yes. Proposing through TV advertisement. Rand wants to pop the question to his sweetheart Geraldine through a Super Bowl advertisement. He required about $2.5 million for that, so he set up a website where he detailed his strategy and began gaining much online attention. Even though he received donations, he was regrettably unable to raise the amount of cash he required. Plan B was implemented, and he bought commercial space during Geraldine's preferred television program, Veronica Mars. Rand's marriage proposal appeared on television as Geraldine was enjoying the program. And what more was there for her to say but yes? That is certainly inventive. Amanda and Jeremy's proposal. Although they had chores, Jeremy had to persuade Amanda to go on a picnic at Victoria Park with him. She had no idea that his pal was already present and prepared to record everything on video. He found getting down to one knee challenging because Amanda had already laid out a mattress and seated when they arrived at the park. He eventually got her to rise by directing her focus to a sailboat in the water to remove the ring. That was all from our side. Thank you for watching. If you liked the video, subscribe to the channel for more exciting content.